Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my bedroom, and welcome back to another episode of me. Welcome to the Emmy extravaganza, the Emmy experience. And if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And if you've been here before, you know what to do. If you're feeling the vibes, you're gonna hit that what? You're gonna hit that subscribe. Thank you. No, but seriously, it really does help me out a lot. I am new on the internet and it's been growing pretty fast and I would love to keep that momentum. I also do have an Etsy link in my description if you want to check out some candles that I just started selling. I'm really bad at promoting myself, but you will be seeing me do that a lot more because it's all about evolving and we're trying new things. It's all about getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. I still sometimes feel uncomfortable filming, but here I am. Now I'm slowly starting to get comfortable with it, so now I have to try and see if anybody wants to look at my candles. But that's not today's topic. Today's topic is the rising signs. So let's just describe what rising signs mean first. Okay, so your rising sign is determined by your first house, basically the time that you were born. So I can pull up a chart, basically a chart, but the time of your birth describes your rising sign. So if you don't know what time you were born, you probably don't know your rising sign, which means you probably don't really know your houses. Some people, if they weren't born in the US or whatever reason, they just don't actually have that information accessible to them. But yeah, what rising represents is each house, each sign has a statement, like a I am, I think, I believe, I feel, right? So the first house is ruled by Aries. All the houses, they go in order of the zodiac sign. So first house is Aries, second house is Taurus, 12th house is Pisces, right? So the statement that is associated with Aries is I am. So this house, the first house, has a lot of themes that have to do with Aries, being the self, right? So that would make the first house being the energy that you present to the world. It's the first impression that you make. It's how and who you feel you are. It could be, do you feel more introverted? Do you feel more extroverted? Your rising sign has a play in that. When you first meet people, okay, this is more based off first impressions, mainly how you present yourself, your physical appearance. It also is the vibe that you give off. Okay, so Astro Finesse is an amazing astrologer that's on YouTube. Shout out to you. He described in one of his videos, your rising sign would be like, think of a house. So your rising sign would be the outside of the house. How does the grass look? What does the front door look like? Is there a driveway? Like how the house looks at first. Your sun sign would be like the living room. Everybody knows, when they first go into a house, you normally are in the living room, right? It's the most accessible to people, your general energy, because clearly just because the outside of a house looks a certain way doesn't mean the inside is gonna look that way, right? And then your moon sign would be your bedroom, okay? So like your bedroom is, the closest representation of who you really are, right? That private emotional side of yourself. So they're all you, they're all your home, but they all just mean different things. So I hope that made sense. The rising sign also determines your chart ruler. Aries is ruled by the first house. So if somebody had an Aries rising, for example, your chart ruler would be Mars. So the Mars energy would have a dominant characteristics in how you present yourself, in your personality. So Mars energy is very intense, it's very determined, it's very motivated, it gets things done, it's very sure of itself. So somebody with an Aries rising would come off more in these ways. So if you're learning astrology, don't get caught up on just learning the signs. Also know the planets, because if you know the planets and you know the mythology of the planets, then you know the signs, right? So Mars was the god of war. Of course, there's gonna be an aggression aspect, a determined aspect to it, right? So Mars rules Scorpio and Aries. So of course there's those aspects in Scorpio and Aries, if that makes sense. So like, for example, my rising sign is Virgo. My chart ruler is Mercury, because that's the planet that rules Virgo, and Mercury is all about communication. Virgo is the more introverted side of Mercury, while Gemini is the more extroverted side of Mercury. But I do have Gemini placement, so I'm a lot of things. That's Gemini for you. Let's just get into the next sign. So now that you have a better understanding of what the rising sign means in astrology and how you can apply it and how you can look it up in your chart, let's move on to the next sign. So Cancer risings, I feel like when we talk about how they look, I feel like they tend to have like smaller eyes or like more like round eyes and like high cheekbones or like big cheeks. Like I feel like they have big cheeks and like prominent cheekbones. They normally have like round faces, pleasant faces, like very like friendly faces, ruled by the moon. So like they have that like nurturing eyes or like compassionate eyes type of like, I feel like it's kind of easy to pinpoint like a Cancer in that, because it's like you want to like tell them your shit, or like if you have a Cancer rising, you might notice that could be on the train, the person next to you is like telling your life story and it's like, what is going on here? But also you're into it, you're here for it, you're engaged. Cancer is also ruled by the breasts, so you might notice that Cancer women have like bigger breasts, or like Cancer men might have more like strong like chest area or something like that. When you first meet a Cancer rising, they're kind of more timid, I would say. They're like indirect, but they're very genuine people. They make you feel comfortable with them, like emotionally, because of like you have like a understanding, compassionate aura, I would say. So like people feel like comfortable with you like pretty naturally and easily. You're a non-judgmental person. You're able to really like see people for who they are and not just like how they're presenting themselves like exteriorly. Cancers are ruled by the moon, so like I just mentioned, so they can be kind of moody. The moon is constantly changing out of phases every like 2.5 days, so Cancers can also be very moody, just like that. Their moods are just constantly changing, and if a Cancer is in a bad mood, everybody else is kind of in a bad mood. Their emotions also, like, yeah, it does change pretty quickly. So they are the crab. You pay attention to how a crab walks. It walks left and right, and it's very like defensive. So Cancers can be like defensive, especially over their emotions, and they're very like cautious. They're trying to really, especially as Cancer rising, it's like, who do I feel safe with? And like you're kind of like sussing out like who you can really like be yourself around, or like who is even like worthy of you sharing that aspect of yourself. So yeah, you're like really trying to feel out a room before you decide like if this is an environment, if the people in the room are like people that you would feel comfortable with. I don't want to make them sound like they're 100% like, you know, just guarded, even though they are a little bit, but they are very funny people once you get to know them, and like very like quirky people as well, like kind of goofy, and just like not afraid to be themselves once they're able to get there with you. Until then, that's why they kind of like come off like quiet in new spaces. Also, I feel like Cancer rising, like they tend to have like this, like security is a really big thing for Cancers. They really want to surround themselves with people they trust and they feel safe with. So sometimes they can project this energy of like, I want somebody to do it for me, if that makes sense, which could make people think that you're weak. You might notice that you get underestimated a lot, especially since Cancers tend to be more emotional. You're very nice, like Cancers are just very nice, so like people think that they can walk all over you, but you're also very observant and you're also very cautious of like who you surround yourself with. So like you might notice yourself in situations where people are underestimating you, but of course you're able, because you're very like an intuitive sign, and like you're good at picking up people's like intentions and stuff. You'd be able to like, you would know who's doing that or who. But yeah, just like watch out for that. Like just really like you like to be nice, which is great. Being nice is nice, you know, but just be careful of those who have like ulterior motives that are trying to get close to you, especially when it comes to relationships as well, like romantic relationships. So Cancer energy, because it is so nurturing, you can really like help people, or like you help like heal people, whether you realize it or not. Like your energy, like what you give off is just like very like comforting and healing, so you really support a lot of people without you realizing it. That's just not a common thing, or like that's not a lot of people's like MO really. So, and it's not even like it's your MO, it's just like something that you give off because you're very like attentive, especially if someone's like talking to you in an emotional way. So yeah, so you're just able to like heal people unintentionally, or like you're just able to heal people. I don't really know how else to describe it. Or like just be very like nurturing, or like you just know what somebody needs. Like intuitively, you just know like, oh, this person needs like some physical touch, or like this person just needs like some acts of service, or like this person just needs someone to listen. Like you're able to really like pick that up and like be really supportive for people, whether you realize it or not. And it just comes very naturally to you. But yeah, I feel like even though Cancers get the reputation of being very sensitive and whatnot, people do underestimate you, and you are a lot stronger and tougher than people see you as. Cancers are a cardinal sign, so cardinal means like they lead things, right? And Cancer is a water sign, so they lead with their emotions. So they are going to do what they want, but sometimes the way you do things, it might not make sense to other people, because you do things based off of feeling. Like, I don't feel happy, so I'm going to change this. Or like, I don't feel safe, so I'm going to change this. Or I don't feel heard in this relationship, so I'm going to leave it. Like, it's not really like logical. It's not really like, oh, well, like, I don't have this, or like, oh, I need that. Like, so that can be where people like lose you or don't understand you, because a lot of people aren't tapped into their emotions. A lot of people are more logically based. So the way you move looks kind of chaotic, even though it's not to you, because emotions, I mean, they come and they go, right? But you really like hold on to them and like you lead with it, which can make you impulsive, I guess, but like emotionally impulsive. Yeah, I think some things that Cancers need to work on is like commitment, and like really like sticking to things that they say they're gonna like sticking to what they say they're gonna start. You have a lot of interests, so maybe like being practical on what it is that you want, and really looking at like the to-do list and like how to make things like attainable versus just like the bigger picture, and falling in love with like the idea of doing something, you know, like the idea of like, you know, how to actually apply it and implement it. Like focus on that. You can still make whatever you want happen, just like focusing on like how to implement whatever it is that you want. Like commitment is hard for you, and you have a lot of variety of interests, and since your emotions can sway you and move you in a different direction, like it can be easy to feel lost. So I recommend like having some sort of vision board or something, like whether it's like whatever goal it is that you have, and like really coming up with a to-do list on how to make those things happen. Because since you have so many emotions and you lead with them, it's easy to get lost and distracted and like going left and right, and like it's easy to get caught up with the emotions right in front of you, you know, because sometimes like that's all you can see. Like at this moment I feel grief, and like that's all I can see, and then once you feel happiness, that's all you feel, which is, everyone's process is different. I'm not knocking it. Focus on the bigger picture when you're in those feelings, like when you're in a state of grief, when you're in a state of happiness, like, okay, what is my goal and what am I doing to make it happen? I think will be really helpful for you in this lifetime. But especially since it's your rising sign and how you come off in the world, so like you might notice that is kind of strong for you, of course, depending on what your moon sign is in and your sun. But that's just my little piece of advice for Cancers. Please comment down below and let me know what you thought. Let me know if that resonated with you. If it didn't, if there's something I forgot, if there's something I should have included. And like this video if it was helpful. And I appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.